And so I said there are 4 cities that every great man that you see in manifestation has subdued. The first city that you must subdue in order to be relevant to your generation is the city within. The soul of man happens to be the bridge of the spirit realm. When God created man, He fashioned him such that a part of his being is spirit and a part of his being is corporal. The harmony between the spirit and the corporal aspect of man is what emerged the soul. He said the spirit was blown into the body and the man became a living soul. And so the soul is a gate. And every spirit that wants to dominate the man tries to find access to the soul of the man. And so in Ephesians 4:27, Paul said, giving no place to the devil. Because the soul is a space within the man that allows spirits to rule over the man. A man will be an impregnable fortress so long as his soul is kept intact. The moment the soul of the man is breached, that institution is already breached. And that which God wrote concerning that man can be sabotaged. And so every man who wants to keep the essence of his destiny intact must fight the war to preserve the soul. This is why the Bible said, the man who has rule over his tongue is superior to the man that can conquer a city. Because the first victory a man must record is the victory within. If your inside is porous, everything you are seeing in the external is a mirage. The day the devil comes for you, he will bring you down. And so a man who is truly victorious is a man that has won the battle within. The first fight every one of us must fight is the fight against internal infiltration. That is the focus of every spirit. The way spirits access the soul is to provoke a protocol of rebellion. Because a man who functions under obedience keeps his soul intact. When the devil came into the garden, he said, did God really say, you shall not eat of every tree that is of the garden? Because the moment you walk in rebellion, you have opened up your spirit to the spirit that you suggest or you submit to. He said, whoever you yield yourself servants to obey, the servant of him you are, whom you have obeyed. And so the moment Adam obeyed the devil, his soul opened up and the devil took over. When the devil was contending with Jesus on the mountain, he said, bow down to me, I will give you everything you see, for it has been delivered to me. Adam never knew territories were being bargained. He thought it was about a choice. And he didn't know that the choice is the key to the soul. The access to the soul of a man is tied to the choices that he makes. Because every choice a man makes is a testimony of allegiance to a spirit. You are not permitted to make any independent choice. What you call a choice are actually wills of spirit. The one you choose is a testimony of allegiance. And the way you keep your soul intact is to remain perpetually obedient to the law of God. The moment you violate it, your soul is open and you have lost the battle within. And so we've said the first city that everybody must fight to defend is the city within. Unfortunately, many believers are not taught how to secure the within aspect of their being. And so we live looking for what will provide comfort for us. And we don't know that for everything we possess, choices were made. And every choice that was made gave grounds to the spirit that seek to dominate us. When the soul within, the city within is lost, every other city can be taken. But when the city within is kept intact, then the contention continues. And I said the second contention is for spirit cities. Spirit cities are actually dwelling places of princes in darkness. You know, when you look into the structure of the demonic realm, not every spirit possesses men. There are certain spirits that are lords in their own right. They are called dominions. They are called principalities. They are called powers. They are called rulers of the darkness of this world. The darkness of this world are the territories where those beings possess the spirit. They don't need to possess a man because they have their own bodies. They are fallen beings. It is demons that lack bodies. This is why demons seek to possess men. Principalities already have bodies, so they don't need to possess you. When they come into a place, they secure a dominion system that is like a control tower from whence they rule mortals. And so the second fight every man must win is the fight against the spirit cities. And I told us last week when I was teaching, I said, every territory you see today is a mirror image of a spiritual territory. When the earth was created, God designed the earth to mirror the heavens. That is why he planted the Garden of Eden and he asked the man to dominate the earth realm. The idea was for the man to extend the frontiers of the earth realm until the earth becomes like the heavens. When Moses created the temple, he says to create according to the pattern that was revealed to him from the mount, because no territory is independent of a mirror image in the spirit. Every known territory is a reflection of a spirit city where spirit, form their dominion and control the visible realm from. And so the earth is a mirror image. But before we come into the earth, I said there are spirit cities that must be dominated. And I said those spirit cities mirror their dimension into the earth realm. And I gave us instances. I said Egypt, for example, is a territory that stops the worship and the memory of God. This is why when God sent Moses, he says, I'm sending you to Pharaoh to let my people go that they may worship me. That means what Egypt tries to do is to stop the worship of God. And so any state of your time or life where you find that it has become difficult to worship God, know that you are in Egypt. You don't need to travel to the northern part of Africa to be in Egypt. Any sphere that negates or impedes the worship of God is an Egyptian territory in the spirit. Because Egypt tries to stop the worship of God. For you to worship God, you must come out of Egypt. This is why God insisted that they must come out of Egypt. Exodus 8 verse 1, Exodus 9 verse 1, I'm sending you to Pharaoh. Tell him to let my people go that they may worship me. Because if they are in Egypt, they can never worship God. Every time men struggle with worship, they are in Egypt. And some of us may not have gone to Egypt in the natural, but we are citizens of Egypt in the spirit. Babylon allows you to worship God, but he introduces mixture. Babylon will tell you you can worship your God, but there are other gods you need to worship. When Satan came to Jesus on the Mount of Temptation, it was Babylon he was introducing. You are the Son of God. Nobody is doubting it. Turn these stones to bread. Give your allegiance to God and also give your allegiance to me. You are the Son of God. Bow to me. I'll give you the whole city. The glory of the world is yours. You can continue proclaiming yourself as the Son of God, but worship me in addition. And if Jesus had obeyed Satan, he would have returned with the power. But this time around, the power would have been corrupt. So I said, in Babylon, what you are is what you have is not in contention. It's who you are that is in contention. Because the same way God blesses men, the devil blesses men. The Bible said the difference is that the blessings of God does not add sorrow. That means the devil also has the power to bless men. The way God empowers men, so does the devil empower men. The difference is that allegiances will have to be altered. You must submit to another God to be able to wield power and authority. The way God makes men popular, the devil also makes men popular. Popularity is not wrong. The Bible said when Jesus returned from the mount, he said his fame went abroad. So God gives fame because it's a tool for advancing kingdom. But God is not the only one that gives fame. That's why all the famous men on planet Earth today are not Christians. There are many godless people that are highly famous because it's a strategy in the demonic realm. And so what Babylon seeks to do is to give you greatness at the expense of your loyalty to God. And everyone who is beginning to compromise his loyalty to God is already in Babylon. He doesn't need to travel out of his country. And of course, you know by now that it's possible to have dual citizenship. So there are many people with multiple citizenship. They are Nigerians, but they are also Babylonians in the spirit. Because when they try to get a job and it doesn't work, they can give a bribe. When you put pressure on them, they can bow. Because they are actually citizens of Babylon. And Babylon encourages mixture. And when you allow that mixture to come into what you are doing, greatness is sure. That's why our pursuit in life is not primarily greatness. Greatness is a byproduct of what God gives us based on our service to Him. Because Babylon too can make great. And there are many people who are great today, but they are Babylonians. And so for you to be truly great with God, you must subdue spiritual cities. And I said, the way spiritual cities impart their influence on you is by generating energy that puts you under pressure. When you begin to sense an energy that is not from God, before you take an action, stop. Stop and ensure that your action is not motivated by that energy. Any step you take that is not based on what God is saying, drifted into Babylon. You will still arrive at greatness, but when you look back, what you will see will not resemble the kingdom. Because you have journeyed in the path of no return. He said, I saw a young man who is void of understanding. He walked the path of death. There are many paths that seem right to men, but the end is death. The only way you can be sure that where you are going is the destination of God is to ensure that there's no compromise. When spiritual cities come, they will put pressure on you. And so when pressure comes, you must learn to master pressure in order to win the battle of spiritual cities. And the way to master pressure is not to train your will, because your will will be easily compromised. When you route a man through his emotion or route a man through his intellect, you can compromise his will. What people don't know is that the gate of the will has no security system. The security system for the will gate is the emotion and the mind. And that's why when the devil wants to manipulate your will, he alters the fact. And when you are looking at the wrong fact, you will easily make a decision, because the moment your intelligence agrees with the fact, your will is compromised. That's why when the devil wants to take over men, he manipulates their emotional corridor, and they take actions based on emotion. It is when they are done, they will discover that what they did was wrong. It is not something they would have done on a normal day. But when the emotion is compromised, or when the intellect is compromised, a man's will always be compromised. You cannot make decisions of destiny based on fact. Facts can be manipulated. Only the voice of God is potent enough to give you direction in life. And for a man to win the battle of spirit cities, he must learn to always function only by the voice of God. It will be difficult, but you will pay the price to access it. This is why many people make mistakes in life and they wonder why. My intention was pure. Your intention was pure, but you didn't have access to the voice of God. The only way to stop the pressure of darkness is to access the voice of God. And for those of you that have been on this corridor for a while, you will know that the moment God speaks, the pressure dissipates. For you to win the battle of spirit cities, you must gain access to the voice of God. The third city you must win are systemic cities. We are in an election period now. Many Christians have folded their hands and they think they are being spiritual. If we don't have legislators there, we are finished. The reason the kinds of things that happen today happen is because we have not won the systems. When you go to the media, the leading apostles are the sons of the world. There are three categories of people on the media. The first category of the people on the media are uninformed and unspiritual people. They only go there to catch fun. They go there to while away time. The second category of people on the media are informed people but unspiritual people. So they only go to the media to make money. The third category of people on the media are informed and spiritual people. They see the media as a warfare ground. So even though they make money from the media, they are more warfare oriented than they are economically oriented, because they know it's a gate. So when you uproot, you destroy, then you can plant and build. It's a mantle. If you don't have that mantle, you can't do it. It's time for us to really wake up and train people that if we don't take the city, the systemic cities, we can never establish the mandate of God. The mandate of God is at the mercy of the cities that we dominate. And I can assure you today that many Christians are still battling with the city within. Let alone talking about the spirit city before you talk about the systemic city. And when you win the systemic battle, then you can come to the territorial battle. Until you conquer a city, you cannot advance the kingdom of God. And until you conquer a city, you cannot leave a legacy that will become a platform for the worship and memory of God. And so the business of dominating city is an eternal business, and it is something the body of Christ must be taught and trained to handle. How many of us have conquered the city within? How many of us have conquered spirit cities? Most of us, the reason we are praying today is because we are in a neighborhood where people are praying. If we are removed from there to another location, prayer life dies immediately, because we come under another atmosphere. We have not won the battle of the heavenlies. And so atmospheres determine our consecration. Atmospheres determines our intensity. We may come to church for 30 years, but we are not relevant in the hand of God. And so in a season like this, men must master how to win the battle of cities. If we don't win the battle of cities, there will be no hope for our generation.